Hi.
Hey, third grade. It's Mrs. Enos. This is my kiddo Grant, who's 6. I'm sure you've heard a lot about him. He just wanted to say hi before I read you chapter 4. Chapter 4. It starts with a picture. Uncle Puckett's powdered pancake mix. The next morning before school, Beaver caught me alone in the hallway. He's usually 20 minutes late to homeroom. Early Beaver wasn't a good sign. I could see a lump the size of a golf ball on the top of his head. The guy was angry. Granted, Beaver Vanderkopf is always angry, but today he was extra, super, mega angry at me. Fine morning we're having, isn't it, Sam? He said, glancing around for adults. Of course, whenever you need them. There weren't any. Sam? Oh no, you have made a large confusion, I said, trying my best to do an accent. I am his identical cousin, Jarmo, from Finland. That's not gonna work a second time, said Beaver. He grabbed me by my arm and yanked me once more into the second floor boys' bathroom. Someone had righted the trash can Beaver punched, but it still bore the dent from his clear belt karate demonstration. I worried that my face would soon have a similar dent. First off, said Beaver, holding me by the collar, you tell anybody what happened, that I got KO'd by a gerbil, you're dead. I didn't see any gerbil, I said. Technically true. Anybody asks, I was minding my own business, vandalizing the school when those dumb planets randomly fell on my head. Got it? Sure. Just an innocent act of vandalism, I said. Could have happened to anyone. Second, said Beaver, when I find Martha Jr., he's going to pay. Hey, come on, Beaver, I said. You don't need to worry about Hamster-saurus Rex. He's just an animal. He didn't. I've seen the little posters you drew. I know you love that rodent. But I live by a very simple code, Sam. The code is nobody drops a homemade solar system on Beaver Vanderkopf and gets away with it. Nobody. I admire how specific your code is, I said, but there's really no need to. Enough gum flapping, he said, gripping my collar tighter. I want to tell you about your special surprise. A Caribbean vacation? Nope, but it does involve water, said Beaver with a yellow smile. He kicked open the door to one of the bathroom stalls. You're familiar with the regular old swirly, of course. I sighed. Sure, the thing where you flush the toilet and stick my head in it. The swirly is pretty awful, but probably not as bad as getting my face punched in. When you're me, unfortunately, you have to rank these things. See, that's just the problem, said Beaver, putting his arm around me. You're used to swirlies, and that means we need something new. Last night, as I was lying in bed and rubbing this giant, painful bump on my head, I started thinking, how can I take the swirly to the next level? How can I leave my mark on a classic? You're considering your bullying legacy, I said. Great. That's when I came up with what I call the Kiefer Beefer Vanderkopf Ultra Swirly, or the Kibival Sui for short. Kibival Sui, I said, really rolls off the tongue. The Kibival Sui is just like a regular swirly, said Beaver, except for one important innovation. Beaver reached into his pocket and pulled out a 24-ounce bag of Uncle Puckett's powdered pancake mix, a Smiles Corp product. He tore the bag open, flushed the toilet, then dumped the powder in it. It formed a swirling beige sludge in the bowl. I frowned. Is it too late for you to just punch me? We'll get to that, said Beaver. But first, your qui viva ul sui. And with that, He flipped me upside down. Please, Beaver, I have a sensitive scalp. Beaver was unmoved. He dunked my head into the swirling goop. When he pulled me out, I was covered down to my shoulders in sticky, toilet-made pancake batter. There's a picture. You ready? It does not look fun. Well, said Beaver. He was waiting for his first customer review. It was awful, I said, wiping the stuff out of my eyes. Fantastic, said Beaver. And with that, he slugged me in the gut, knocking the wind out of me. It's only a matter of time before I find Martha Jr., he said as he turned to leave. I'm going to take him home and feed him to my pet boa constrictor. He's a dead gerbil walking. I thought of 7 or 8 snappy comebacks, but neglected to share them. I sure didn't want another kibi val usui. So I spent the next 15 minutes trying to clean off pancake batter in the sink. It doesn't come out as easily as you think. In fact, while I was washing my face, my swirlied hair hardened into a weird, crusty spike. No matter how much I tried to flatten it, the shape kept reforming. The bell rang and I had to go to class looking like the world's saddest unicorn. You ready? There's a picture. Oh, there he is. Sam, world's saddest unicorn. Very avant-garde hairstyle, Sam, said Mr. Copeland. Thanks, I said, taking my seat. Not a compliment, said Mr. Copeland. He waited a moment until everyone settled. All right, kids, some of you have noticed that our classroom's model of a solar system is missing. That's because of an incident that happened after school. He squinted at Beaver, who pretended not to pay attention by leafing through the October issue of Pustule, the horror movie special effects magazine. Just to restate the obvious, none of you should be in this classroom unattended, said Mr. Copeland as he confiscated Beaver's magazine. Got it? Yes, Mr. Copeland, we all said in unison. Tina Gomez raised her hand. What is it, Tina? Said Mr. Copeland. I don't know, Mr. Copeland. First we lose our class hamster, now our solar system model, she said, shaking her head dramatically. What tragedy is next? Tina, we had a class hamster for less than 10 minutes, said Mr. Copeland. We really should get some snails to replace him, said Wilbur Weber. More snails is your solution to every problem, Wilbur. Mr. Copeland, I have a theory, said Martha Cherie, smiling in a way that she must have thought was sweetly. Great. Here we go, said Mr. Copeland with a sigh. It may sound fanciful, but perhaps the two events are connected in some way, she said. I mean, Hamster-saurus Rex's mysterious disappearance and the subsequent destruction of the solar system model, that is. Beaver was now glaring at me with raw hatred in his eyes. I could see the lump on his head throbbing. I shrugged frantically to indicate that I hadn't told anyone he'd been KO'd by a gerbil. Sorry, no mystery here, Martha, said Mr. Copeland. Kiefer was messing with the solar system when it fell on his head. He enjoys spending time in this classroom so much, Principal Truitt has given him after-school detention every Monday for the foreseeable future. Beaver stretched and yawned to indicate boredom. Mr. Copeland gritted his teeth. So Beaver and I were the only ones who knew the real truth. Despite his warnings, I had to tell somebody. I still had a hamster to find, and I figured 2 heads were better than 1. So at lunch, I quietly recounted the solar system incident to the only person I could trust, Dylan D'Amato. Wow, Beaver Vanderkopf defeated by Hamster-saurus Rex, said Dylan after listening to the whole story. Sam, does it bother you that you're not as tough as a hamster? A little, I said. Dylan and I had been best friends ever since the first week of preschool. When I got an empty sand pail stuck on my head, she was the only kid strong enough to yank it off. We were plenty different. She made fun of me a lot, but when anybody else did, she got furious. I always nodded politely when she went on and on and on about disc golf. I never laughed when she tried to draw stuff, even though every one of her pictures invariably ended up looking like a sweet potato with googly eyes. Are you ready to see some of those pictures? Here we go. These are Dylan's drawings. You should just stand up to Beaver, said Dylan. Uh-huh, I said, and you'll cover the cost of my facial reconstruction surgery? Nah, it's not like that, said Dylan. Remember in second grade when you were scared to take baths because you thought a lobster was going to come up the drain? I sighed. Yeah, I remember. That's what Beaver is. An imaginary drain lobster? I mean, you're not afraid of him, then he doesn't have any power over you. What? Yes, he does. The power to punch me and stick me in pancake toilets and probably some other worse stuff I haven't even thought of yet. I know, but if you're not afraid of getting punched, but I am afraid of it, I said. It hurts a lot. Okay, fine. Look, if you want me to, I can kick his butt on your behalf. I've got some free time this afternoon. She demonstrated a little shadow boxing. You can't fight my battles for me, Dylan. I'm going to handle this one the good old-fashioned Sam Gibbs way, with plenty of cowardice and a dash of hiding, I said. Anyway, forget about Beaver. I'm just glad Hamster-saurus Rex is okay. You sure love that weird hamster, huh? As much as you love disc golf. Wow, said Dylan, nodding with a newfound respect. That's a lot. I told her about seeing Hamster-saurus Rex flee into the gymnasium. Living in Coach Weeks' office, huh? I sure hope the little dude likes the smell of weight gainers and feet, said Dylan. We should tell Mr. Copeland. What? No way! Beaver's out for revenge. If Hamster-saurus Rex gets back into the cage in our classroom, he'll be a sitting duck. Beaver will get him for sure. In fact, now I have to find Hamster-saurus Rex before Beaver does. Maybe during gym class we can figure a way to sneak into Weeks' office and rescue him, she suggested. Good thinking, I said. Just promise me you won't tell anybody about any of this, okay? Dylan laughed. Sam, when have I ever spilled a secret? I cocked my head. What about the time you let it slip that my mom calls me Bunny Butt? Sorry about that, she said. I mean, it's not the worst nickname. I frowned. Just keep this quiet, all right? Keep what quiet? Asked Martha Cherie. She'd appeared out of nowhere, like some sort of honor student ghost. Nothing, I said. I was just telling Dylan to keep quiet when she plays her trombone. We play together in a band. It's Dylan on trombone and me on washboard, said Dylan. Right, I said, classic trombone and washboard duo. If she plays too loud, it drowns me out. I smiled and then pantomimed a wicked air washboard solo. Wow, Sam, said Martha. I knew you were really creative ever since you drew that beautiful portrait of me last year. You mean the character where Sam made your nose look like an overripe beet? Said Dylan in disbelief. Uh-huh. I love beets, said Martha. So what's the name of your band? The Dylan D'Amato Experience, said Dylan, crossing her arms and squinting at her. Very hip. You probably wouldn't get it. Is that why you have a flamboyant new rock and roll hairstyle? Said Martha. She was looking at my crusty pancake hair horn. Uh-huh, I said, fluffing it up a little. Pretty edgy, huh? You look like a narwhal, said Martha. It's my favorite northern latitude sea mammal. I gave her a thumbs up. Dylan rolled her eyes 4, maybe 5 times. Here's a picture. Anyway, I wanted to share some information with you, Sam, since you seem to be concerned about the fate of our beloved class pet. Martha held up one of my Hamster-saurus Rex posters. Perhaps I shouldn't even be telling you this as it's part of an ongoing hamster monitor investigation. Hamster monitor isn't a real thing, said Dylan. You know that, right? Martha held up her ID and lanyard as proof. Like I said earlier, I think the solar system falling and Hamster-saurus Rex disappearing are related. What? I said in a forced, high-pitched laugh. No way! If Martha connects the dots, Beaver would assume I told her. Then he would pound me. Here's Martha. It looks like she has a clue. I was able to recover the piece of string from the ceiling, said Martha. She held it up. I examined the frayed end under a microscope in the science lab. It appears to have been gnawed. What if Hamster-saurus Rex did that? Oh, come on, I said, panicking. You're joking. Ha ha. You're so funny, Martha. Did everyone ever tell you that? She smiled. No, when people compliment me, it's usually on my above average intelligence, my punctuality, or my commitment to flossing. Oh, please, muttered Dylan. Well, personally, I think Hamster-saurus Rex is gone for good, I said. Probably just as well. I like to think of him out there in the wilderness somewhere. Maybe he joined a pack of wild hamsters running free across the tundra. No, said Martha. I have reason to believe that Hamster-saurus Rex is still living somewhere within the school. In fact, I believe I know his approximate location. Where? I said. I'm not at liberty to disclose that information, said Martha. Come on, you have no idea where he is, said Dylan. Do, said Martha. He's in the boiler room. Wrong, said Dylan. What was Dylan doing? I tried to catch her eye, but she ignored me. That's pretty unlikely, said Martha, because I've never been wrong before. Dylan snapped. Oh, come on. The boiler room. The boiler room. That's all the way on the other side of the school from the gym. So, you think Hamster-saurus Rex is in the gym? Said Martha. She already had her notebook out and she was scribbling something. I turned to stare at Dylan. She had both hands capped over her mouth. Who knows, said Dylan quietly. He could be in the library. I have all I need for now, said Martha, smiling as she turned away. Thanks, Dylan. And that is the end of chapter 4. I wonder who's going to find Hamster-saurus Rex first. Is it going to be Martha? Is it going to be Beaver? Maybe Sam and Dylan will find him first. Okay, see you tomorrow. Take care.